Hi there. This is an email from Sheila. My fiance and I are trying to get pregnant, and my OBGYN ran a hormone panel, and my levels are all what they are not supposed to be for optimal results getting pregnant. She wants me to, in inverted commas, clean up my diet and avoid sugar, gluten, soy, limit dairy. She says this would help regulate my hormones, but in recovery, eating these foods is supposed to help regulate my hormones, right? I want to continue with recovery and not start playing the healthy eating game with myself again, but I also really want to have a baby soon. I'm 37 and the doctor is pressuring me about my age as well, which makes me anxious about it. Yeah, this is tough. I think that it can be rather wild and unpredictable that what can go on with our hormone levels while we're in recovery. And often, I know it's true for bloods as well and stuff like that, often when we're actually restricting, stuff can be pretty stable, or at least look like it's stable. And then when we stop restricting, things go a little bit haywire. That's relatively normal for recovery, but a regular doctor is not going to understand this. So this is not an easy answer here, Sheila, and it might not be optimal, and it might be difficult, but I would recommend that you find a doctor who is Haze positive, or understands what Haze is, health of every size, and what that movement means, and can look at things without making that assumption that doctors often make that, oh, food is the problem. Because any doctor who is really good and understands eating disorders will get that and will have done their research, and probably most doctors are put through the system that is kind of like scared of fat, scared of so many types of food, and not necessarily quite unbiased to food. And so their go-to answer is always, don't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat the other. Despite the fact that often that doesn't make the blindest bit of difference to that person's, whatever's going on for that person, it's still what they go to. If you seek out a doctor who understands health of every size and is weight neutral, then I would hope that they would be able to see through that and actually maybe have a look at, well, what's going on in terms of like your eating disorder history and all these things that might be affecting this, which is really what you'd need a doctor for. It's so difficult to find that overlap, to find somebody who is really able to take an unbiased look at weight and diet and look past that, because it's kind of like the low-hanging fruit for doctors, isn't it? Despite the fact, like, as I've said, that it often doesn't actually change that person's situation. It's often not actually effective for them to stop eating something, but it's still the low-hanging fruit that doctors go for. And if a doctor doesn't understand eating disorder recovery, and they're like, oh shit, all you eat is flipping donuts, and they don't get that, then I can kind of see, because I know what most doctors go through in their education and how food phobic many doctors' education is. I can kind of see why they'd be like, oh, well, that's the first thing that you need to change, which of course, if you're in recovery, puts the fear of God into you, and it feels like you are in a complete lose-lose situation, because you know you'll damage your recovery if you start restricting, but also you want to get pregnant. So in answer to the question, I don't know the answer there. I'm not a doctor and I don't know your hormone levels. But I think that you really need to seek professional help from somebody who is both a doctor and understands eating disorders. Oh, and I must add in there as well that a lot of the time, funnily enough, a really good eating disorder dietitian is going to be able to examine those results for you and actually like sort that out. Sometimes dietitians in this sort of question are even more helpful, but I hope that helps, Sheila.